Welcome to Soul Led Lifestyle Podcast with me, Adele McCoy, and my magical guests, giving you the strategy, tools, and activation you'll need to create your soul led life. Hey guys, and welcome to Soul Led Lifestyle. Today we have an amazing episode with an amazing lady. She's magical, mystical. Her name is Melissa Amos, and she is a soul guide. She helps spiritual explorers understand who they are and how to become the greatest and the truest version of themselves. And she also works with many intuition practices, including like oracle cards and holy fire reiki and the Akashic Records, which is amazing, soul transformation therapy and spiritual guidance. So, you know, in which to help you live your soul-led life, right? So yes, stay tuned. I hope you enjoy. I hope you find it informative, and I hope you get so much out of it. Big love. Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself and growing up. What was life like for you?
Well, I grew up in a traditional family. Got an older brother, and it was pretty kind of normal, standard upbringing. But I did have something that I feel very blessed about. My grandma was a hypnotherapist and an NLP practitioner. And in that time, that wasn't really something that you often heard of or came across. So I was really lucky that through my life, I had that space that I could go to where my grandma would take me, and she'd take me over what she called the Rainbow Bridge, and we'd have these like little kind of timeouts, and it would really help me develop who I was. Now, I sometimes think about that and what that did for me. And actually, it gave me like a meditation practice, really, from a really young age.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't realize that's what it was then.
How old was you then?
I want to say I was about 10 when she first started doing hypnotherapy with me, maybe a little younger. And I was always just so fascinated with what the mind can do. And, you know, I sometimes go to her because there was something going on at school, or, you know, I had a little fear. Like, for example, when I was studying for my GCSEs, that's how old I am. When I was studying for my GCSEs, she, and, you know, like studying and the whole revision thing wasn't always my thing. And she said, well, what if I could do something with you that could help you expand the time? So you're in it doing half an hour's worth of study, but you have an hour's worth of like information coming in. I was like, that sounds like a right bit of me. And that's what we did. And I did pretty well in my exams, and I put a lot of it down to some of the tips and techniques she gave me.
Yeah. And so was this something that you shared with like friends and stuff, that you had a grandma that could do these things?
Yeah, I was pretty proud, and you know, it was something a little bit odd, and I would get a few of my friends being like, oh, okay, well, that's a bit strange. And I'm just like, you know what, it works and it's cool. And like, for me, it was normal. Like, for me, it wasn't anything really too different. And you know what, I think for me, it really helped me become quite independent and strong in my mind.
Mm-hmm. So would you find yourself then as a teenager like pulling in certain techniques that you'd learned from her, you know, when you had to go
Absolutely.
through certain things? Yeah.
It's like when you grow up knowing that your mind, like you can be in a certain state, you know, you can be going through something, and all it takes is to take half an hour out and to kind of hack your mind so that it's either not such a big deal, or you can activate these talents. There, once you've done it, it becomes something that you can, that you can pull in whenever there's something too much going on. And like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So when would you then say like the pivotal moment for you was when you decided to sort of embark on a more spiritual journey?
So then, as I became a teenager, despite still having this going on in the background, and I would still go to my grandma's for, all of this, I then really went into that 3D life. I was working, I worked for Mercedes Benz, I was selling cars, it was very glamorous, but it was very like patriarchal 3D corporate life. And don't get me wrong, there was certainly many moments that I loved in there, and it gave me a lot of skills and abilities, and all the good stuff. But I rejected, I would say, a big part of that stuff. But I was still very interested in the NLP and the how the mind works and the psychology and even a bit of the philosophy things. So I was doing that job for a number of years, and it was taking its toll. I was in my 20s. I was working 50, 55 hours a week. It was pretty stressful. There was a lot of competition and, all that fun stuff. And I used to see this lady who gave me a massage. And one day she was giving me a massage, and she put her hands over my head, and I felt this just peace move through my body. And I was like, what was that? She just went, oh, it's Reiki. And I thought, well, there's something here that I need to explore. So I booked her in, and we had a Reiki session, and we had a few Reiki sessions, and we had a few more Reiki sessions. When she dropped the bombshell that she was moving to Australia, I was like, you cannot move to
I
Australia. You're
need
like,
you.
I know. It's like she was keeping me sane. I was becoming more, like a lot of the pain had gone in my body where I was holding all that stress. I was more resilient. I was more at peace. There was a lot that I was responding to just having these monthly Reiki and massage sessions with her. Anyway, so she tells me she's going away, and I was heartbroken. And then she said, oh, you should learn Reiki. You're very spiritual. And I went, what, me? I didn't see it at all. And then this beautiful synchronistic event started to happen, which led me only weeks later to find my Reiki teacher, who then took me through Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. And it was at that moment where I felt the energy move through my body that I realized that there was a whole world that I had closed myself off to. And that led me, in typical me fashion, wanting to find out everything I could about this world. So that opened up the first book I read. Actually, my grandma, a few years before, had given me a book called The Cosmic Ordering Service, which is about manifestation. They talk about the parking angels, and and it's a brilliant book if you've not read it, which I had in the background and I kind of used, but it wasn't that conscious. But after the Reiki, and I started to feel this energy and can really understand that actually I can feel this. So I know it's not just something that's in my mind. I know it's something that's physically, tangibly here. I was reading, The Secret was the first one I read from that. I was reading the Seth series. I was reading like the stuff from Abraham Hicks, and then really delving deep into energy psychology, energy work, energy medicine. I was like hooked. And yeah, that was back in 2008. So a
Oh
few years ago.
wow. And then so from that, with armed with all that knowledge, you just decided to embark and, become a healer yourself and just start getting clients. What
I'd
happened?
say it was that easy.
Okay.
But as these things, they're always a journey. So I was still working, I was still going through and healing a lot of myself. Now, having my grandma being who she was and doing the work with me, I think that a lot of the witch wound healing and a lot of the doubts had been settled at quite a young age. So I maybe started from that point, but still there was a lot of healing. There was still the self-belief. There was still the coming out of the programmings of, well, this is how you make money and this is what you do, and all of the stuff that we are primed for, right? So I carried on with the job, and I was doing that, and in the side I was training in NLP and coaching and reading all the stuff. And it wasn't until I had my first son, who's now 10, where I then left my job and started to think, and I'm not going to say this happened overnight, but I started to think about taking on clients. Like by that point, I was Reiki master. It was about when he was a baby. So, you know, I had all of these skills and I had all of this knowledge when I was like, oh, I could do this, and I really want to be a coach, and I really want to help people, and I really want to do all of this. And I swear to you, every time me and my husband got any time like alone when we were away, when we, you know, went out for dinner, I'd be talking about this massive plan I had. And it was probably 3 or 4 years. Yeah, it was when my second son was, I think I was pregnant with my second son, that I heard myself, and I was like, I literally have the same conversation every single time I have the opportunity to have this conversation, and I am no further forward than I was 3 years ago. So I started to use my knowledge, right? I put my intentions out there. I made it bigger than me. I thought about other people I could help, and I retook my NLP course that I'd done a few years before. And actually, it was then I met this woman, bless her, and we were doing this work together. And she was like, "You're so good at this. You're a real natural. Is this what you do?" And I went, "No." And she started to have a go at me. She was like, "You are really selfish. You need to be doing this." And I was like, I have been so called out, but it hit me that this wasn't about me. This was about what I could do and what I could offer. And so I did the brave thing. I opened my Facebook page. I started to advertise for clients. I started to do readings online, you know, practice readings online for free. And then I started to charge a little bit, and then I started to charge a little bit more, and then word of mouth came, and then yeah, and now I'm here.
Okay, so that's been, how long ago was that?
So my middle son is nearly 8, and I was pregnant with him when I really started. I'd had a few clients before, but I was pregnant with him when I started to really put myself out there. So, like 8 years,
Oh, wow. Okay.
8 years where I started taking really paying clients and
Uh-huh.
being able to, you know, say that it's an income.
Uh-huh. Okay, so then that brings us to where we are now. And so where are you now? What has that developed into, and what is it that you do exactly?
I sometimes pinch myself because I really can see how I've created the life that's right for me. That I'm in balance, and that, you know, I was saying to you before recording, I did yoga this morning, which I do most mornings. I have time. With the kids, I can pick them up. I can do all of that, and in between all of that, I spend my days supporting mainly women, some men, in helping them understand who they truly are, to help them really get into their truth of their being. And I have completed a spiritual counseling diploma. I'm now a hypnotherapist. I'm a Reiki teacher, and I work in the Akashic Records, which are your soul's library. And I work with cards, like oracle cards and tarot. So I combine all of this cool stuff to help people release those patterns that, you know, I was in some years before, to help them understand what their talents are and really not become like a cookie cutter copy of the other readers or the other healers or the other whatever it is, but to understand who they are
Yeah.
so that they can become who they've come here to be.
To be. Yeah. Exactly. And like you did mention there briefly that you do the Akashic Records. Tell us a bit about that, because I think, you know, there's a lot of people who may have heard of it but don't really know much about it. It's not really out there yet, is it? You know?
Yeah. The Akashic Record, I just got goosebumps. The Akashic Records really changed a lot for me, because what they are is this library, or this database, if you like, that holds everything that our soul has ever been, done, said, wanted, desired, experienced. And that's our soul. So that is from our very first incarnation, or from our moment of creation. So you can imagine it's a really vast field. You think about, even in this last hour, even in this last 10 minutes, how many thoughts you've had and how many things have come up. all of those things will be recorded in this database. When I discovered it, again, it was this series of synchronistic divine intervention events, as they are. I had my records opened up. I realized how much stuff I had going on in the background, like the background noise, which was diverting my attention away from who I was in truth. And what I mean by that is this is all the stuff that I've been working through over lifetimes to get to. Yeah, like we've literally been training for this incarnation forever. Right. I also began to learn what it was that was put in the way, or that was stopping me, or maybe a better way to say it is that was the challenges that were put in place that I was here to overcome. Yeah, that I was here to heal the karmas maybe that I'd, built up. The traumas that had happened to me in this life and in life previous that were telling me that maybe it's not safe to do this. And I think that we're here not to let those things hold us back, but to go, okay, this was true then, this is what happened, this is who I was and what I did. Is that true for me now? And can I release that through my energy body, through my DNA, through my light body, through my ancestry, to again help me become who it is that I have come here to be? Because we all have a purpose, and it's not just to sit here and go and work for somebody else and pay the bills and procreate and whatever. There's more depth to that.
Okay. So if I was to want to book a session with you, how would it work? What would I have to experience? What would I go through? How does it all, just so that people can get an understanding of what they would need to do and stuff?
I know, because doesn't it sound all really like mystical and magical, right? So like with all the stuff I do, I keep it real, I keep it down to earth. We openly have a conversation. The sessions are typically around 90 minutes. I talk you through a bit. We understand what it is. Like, what is it? Why do you want to go in and explore this library? What is it that you want to know? So we'll start with that, because it literally contains everything. So you can go in, just go, I'm just going to go and have a little nosy, and what are you going to find out? So maybe there's something particular you want to discover, work on, release, create. So we start with that. I then take you through a short-ish meditation, which gives you a really nice energy cleanse and takes us both into your records. People can't just jump into other people's records. We need explicit permission from the record holder, from the client, for me to go in. And I like to both go in together, because often the client, and some of them are quite open to, spiritual work, can start to have their own downloads, and then you're in the energy. Yeah, and you're receiving that energy that has been created just for you. This is your records. It knows you more than anything, right? So we go in together, and we start to explore. Every time it's different. I'm not going to say that we do this, and then we do this, and we do this, because every time it's different, and I'm very much led by what I'm given. So I get given information by your guidance team, if you like, or by your record holder, which says to me, okay, these are the lives. So often we'll explore 2 or 3 lives that you have lived, or circumstances in that life. So this happened, and then this happened, and it led you to creating this contract that says, I will never love anybody again, or I am releasing all of my worldly goods so that I can be this great spiritual being, or I will never trust anybody, or like whatever it is. Like we say things, right? And we say things with a lot of meaning and gusto, or this whole, I love you for eternity. Like all these things are there. And then if it's appropriate, we will go in and run a healing or a ritual, or like a releasing exercise, so that we can not have that thing govern us anymore. So we can make it so it's there, it happened, but rather than that be our driving force. Like, for example, if somebody had stepped up and stepped out in public and said something that came from the heart and then got thrown rotten tomatoes at or what. Yeah. We might have that in our belief that we cannot step up because it's not safe.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, that was true for that time. And in that time, yes, if you did step up, as the circumstances proved to you, you might have not ended up very well. But if that's informing you now, so it's stopping you from creating the podcast, or if anyone's listening here thinking, oh, I'd love to come and speak to Adele and have her interview me, but I know I can't because I'm going to stutter and I'll get embarrassed and I'll trip over my words, then we can look at that and go, okay, well, this happened and this happened and it happened and it happened, but does it need to be true anymore? And what can we do to release the energy that has been building around it, so that you can step into your truth and come from the heart and be able to speak? So we're not changing what happened.
Yeah.
So I don't like, some people do in the records, and that's fine. But for me, I've learned that what happened. And actually, if we can move through it, then we are in essence healing the karma, if it's a karmic thing, or healing the trauma that happens, so that we can keep on ascending, which is part of our purpose.
Wow, sounds phenomenal. And so the sessions last how long?
They're around 90 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so those of you that are interested, I think it sounds amazing, because everyone has this thing, don't they, about wanting to know about, we would all love to know, why are we here? You know, and if we're not on this spiritual journey, we may not capture that as easy. And then you have people that are like, oh, I wonder what my past lives were like. And people have this thing, don't they, about their past life, who they were, and, you know, what they were about, and if they were important or not, and stuff like that. So this type of session is sounds like it will be bang on for someone with all of those type of questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you have like a really cool success story around a client that came and had a session with you and went on to do amazing things?
Loads. I'm just trying to think which one to talk about. I mean, it's amazing how sometimes people come for a session and I say, what is it that you want to do? And we've got 90 minutes. And then they come up with this list. They're like, well, I want to know about my job and my career path, and like whether my husband is the right one for me, and what my life purpose is. And you're like, right, okay, well, we've got 90 minutes. Let's see what happens and see what ensues. But what I have found is, sometimes, and I'm not encouraging anyone to come in here with a shopping list, but what I found is quite often it's like one thing is linked to the other. Like for example, with that, and this was a circumstance, the job which this woman kept finding herself was, she was flitting through jobs. She couldn't commit to something. And then it wasn't a husband, it was a boyfriend. She was like, is this the right guy for me? Why do I keep finding myself in the relationship? And she was also asking about her mother and what was going on. Anyway, we looked at that. We had that intention, and we saw this life, which I won't go into details with, but how a commitment to one meant that she couldn't commit to the other. And so in this life, and how her mum in that life was trying, she wasn't her mum in that life, but how her mum was trying to keep her safe and to stop her from going out there. And anyway, we did some work and we did some healing, and it was all a bit profound, and we kind of lost touch, but we were still together on Facebook. And then I found that she started her own business, she got a boyfriend, and I'm not sure about the relationship with the mum, but I saw that they'd holidayed together. I was like, well, that's like pretty cool. All in the space of maybe 9 months. Wow. And I just thought, that's the power. And I don't even know whether she knows or even considers that the session was the catalyst to that. Yeah. And for me, that doesn't matter. I'm not doing it for my own, self-inflation. But it's amazing how often I see things like that, where people go, oh, well, I I want to get better at, my third eye's blocked and I can't see, and I don't get any intuitive hits, and we do something, and then we start to see that something happens and something starts to progress. And some people put it down to that, and some people don't even consider it, and that's cool. Because it's not like a coaching session where I'm like, which I do, but not in the Akashic sessions. We're a coaching session where you might get tasks that you have to do, or you might get goals that you have to do. It's not like that. It's just we are literally working with the energetic quality of what is happening with you. And as we make changes to that, the thoughts, the emotions, and the actions have to change.
Yes.
And do.
Wow. Love it. I think I'll be booking a session very soon with you. Okay, so what is the plan going forward for you then? What do you see yourself? How do you see yourself in the next few years?
Well, I have 12 months ago, I created my membership community, Soul Space, where I help people, like I said at the beginning, become who they are. And we do intuitive work, we do energy activations, we do coaching calls, we have guest experts come in, we have all sorts of things. And since I have established Soul Space, I see how effective and how much more growth comes when we're in community. So for me, it's really putting my energies and my efforts into that. My one-to-one calls I still do, and I've just completed a spiritual counseling diploma, which allows me to serve more people through that. But really my energies are going into Soul Space. We're doing a psychic deep dive over the next 3 months, because a lot of the people in there are like, I want to start to work intuitively, like actually do readings for other people. And hot off the press, I am in the process of writing a course on the Akashic Records and how to read them for yourself.
Amazing. That sounds phenomenal. Love it. What 5 things would you like? So someone is, kind of watching you, isn't sure whether they kind of want to, enter into your world completely, but they would like to sort of start, figuring out who they are. What 5 things would you give someone to, and say to them to embark on that journey? What do they have to do? What do they have to lean into?
5 things. Okay, I'm going to start with this, right? Yeah. And we've touched on this in the talk, I believe that we all have a purpose, that everyone here has a purpose. And our purpose isn't necessarily our work, which a lot of people think it is. Our purpose is twofold. I think we have 2 purposes that live side by side. One is our ascension path. So this is this whole thing about the purpose of life is joy. Yeah, this isn't like, oh, be happy clappy all the time, because that's literally impossible. But it's about, okay, understanding what lights me up, what sparks my joy, what do I love doing, what really fulfills me, and start there. Just start with that question. What really fulfills me? What is it that I could read about all day long or talk about all day long without, without getting bored? Or what is it that really gives me that sense of fulfillment when I'm helping a friend, or when I'm talking about this, or when I'm sharing something? And get to know that this isn't what your parents told you should be doing. This isn't what society says you should be doing. This isn't necessarily the car, the house, or the partner, or the children. This is, what is it? And it could be a real quirky thing. Find out that, okay? Because that is your purpose number 1. Your purpose number 2 is the ability to be able to make a difference. Yeah. And that might just be to one other person, or that might be to everyone. Because even when you make a difference to one other person, you're making a difference to the whole world. Yeah. And you can imagine this, that if I am a candle and all of us are candles, as I light my candle, and you were looking at the world from the moon, you would see that the world would light up one more. And if I share that light with someone else, it will light up even more. So even one person, we're here somewhere in our purpose, we're here to make that difference. Now, why would we have these two purposes running alongside each other if they weren't linked? Of course they're linked.
Yeah.
And as I step into my joy and I step into my knowing of what lights me up, then that is going to help others. And for some of us, this will be finding that way of sharing that. And again, this doesn't have to be your job. Yeah, this could be, it doesn't have to be linked to your career. So they would be, okay, so they're two, does that count as two? They're going to be my first two things. Know what it is that lights you up, and then understand how you are going to then share that with someone else, okay? Then the next thing you want to do is understand, well, what is it that isn't mine, that I am holding, carrying, or doing that actually doesn't even belong to me? It's someone else. This is the teacher told me, society told me, the advert told me, YouTube told me, blah blah blah, right? That we, or even my community, my ancestors, my religion, like whatever it is that I'm holding, that actually isn't mine. And there are some quite easy exercises to do that. You can literally ask yourself as something comes up, is that mine? And you will start to get a nudge or a feeling about yes it is, or no it isn't. So I'm going to give that as number 3. Number 4, start to understand your inner talk. Have you ever listened to yourself, like truly listen to yourself? Not from that place of, oh, okay, well, I just said this, so therefore it must be true, so I must do this. But when we're just daydreaming, or when we're, driving along or whatever, and our mind goes into its daydreaming and into its internal chatter, what are you saying to yourself? Are you berating yourself? Are you doing the shopping list? Are you singing a song? And because that's me, I've got like songs going on in my head, like 24/7. And if you are singing a song, what song is it? Is it something that is, fulfilling? I'll make you laugh. This is a bit of an advert, but there's an advert on with Katy Perry. Which goes, just eat, right, which is always on, and I've got that in my mind, and I'm like, well, that's definitely not fulfilling, right? But until you pay attention to it, you don't know, and it's happening, and it's informing your time. So get to know your inner voice. Meditation practice is great for that, but even not meditating, yes, I said it, but even not meditating and just being aware. Okay, well, I've just had this going on in my mind. I've just played out this scenario in my head that's never even happened and probably won't happen, but might happen, but who knows? Just get to know it, write it down. You'll start to understand what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I love that. And that was me yesterday, just being aware of everything around me and being in that moment, because it's so hard, isn't it, sometimes to just slide out into the normal world and just kind of be consumed by the children and the friends and everything else. And so yesterday was very quiet, and it was my soul day, as I put it, so I love that.
So then that can bring you to your part 5, is how do you bring your soul day into your everyday and into your every moment? Okay, and this is something that comes through practice, and gratitude is a brilliant practice for that. But let me tell you this: if you do step 1 and 2, well, and even 3 and 4, but the more you get to know yourself, the more you're like, okay, well, this is true for me. You start to realize when your programs are running and when that's running the show and it's not really you. And when you notice that, it's not, oh, silly you for doing that. It's like, okay, well, that's interesting. I just found myself singing Just Eat in my head when actually I could be having a mantra going on in there, right? It's just starting to bring in that conscious awareness in moments. And even if that is for 3 seconds every hour, that you just go, okay. And some people have a bracelet on, or a necklace, or a ring, or like they write something on their hand or something to remind them, like, okay, every time I see this, every time I see the color blue, I'm going to remember to breathe and just understand, just expand my consciousness. Because spirituality isn't something that we do. Yes, we take spiritual practice. Yeah. Yes, we take time out. Yes, we have our soul days because they're the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then how do I take it off the mat? How do I take it off the day? How do I bring my practice into my decisions and my actions and
It's
my thoughts
embodying,
and
isn't
my
it?
feelings?
Embodying it
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Wow. Thank you for that. So that was the 5 things that you'd recommend. And okay, I'm big on, which you probably are as well, sort of grounding and protection. And I find you'll probably find also with your clients that is one of the hardest things for them to to basically get into. Either they
Yeah.
forget to do it, or they just can't get into it, or they're not sure if they're doing it right. So I've been asking all my guests
Yeah.
how you ground and protect, because I'm wanting to
Okay.
give the listeners, a variety, and they don't have to just do it one way.
Okay. We're going to do it now. Okay. We're going to do it together.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
If you want, yeah,
Okay. This is the best way to
yeah.
get grounded. Just say to yourself now out loud, everyone listening, out loud is best. Just say, I am grounded.
I am grounded.
And just feel what happens in your body.
It just went boom like that.
Right?
Yeah,
And when you do that, you feel often like I feel I'm up there,
yeah,
and then I say I'm grounded, and the first thing it does, it brings my awareness. Okay, well actually I'm not, because
yeah.
you're like, well no you're not. You feel that. It's a good intuition exercise as well. And then if you're not, and you're like, okay, well that's brought me back, but it's not fully in, then you can breathe. So then you can say it again, I am grounded, and feel that into it. Bring your awareness either into your feet or into that place below your belly button. That's your like
Uh-huh.
dantian, yeah. So just I am grounded and speak it there.
I am grounded. Yeah. It feels almost like there's a magnetic pull, like dragging me down now. It's like, yes, you are. You're grounded now. You're coming
She's
down.
here.
Yeah,
She's back.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like yes, it can be complicated, and yeah,
yeah.
we've got to remember to do it, but it is literally the simplest way. And you can do that with other things. I am centered, I am aligned, I am whatever, right? You can
Uh-huh.
really bring so that's your quick fix for
Yeah.
when you're out and about. There's a practice that I do pretty much every day, and I give to every single one of my clients. And actually, it starts off when I'm having an Akashic session. We do this. It's called the 12D Platinum Shield. You can find it on YouTube. I do have one that I've recorded as well. It's brilliant. It connects you into the heart of the earth. It connects you in with the heart of the universe. It creates this vortex of platinum light around you, and it starts to inform your DNA. So it's like you're bringing in this highest light energy from the earth and from the central sun. So we're like connected to our higher self and to our earth self, if you like. And yeah, you'll find the more you do it, the easier it becomes, if you like, because
Yeah.
it starts to inform you. It's brilliant. Just look it up. You'll find it on YouTube. The 12D Platinum Shield.
12D Platinum Shield. Thank you for that, Melissa.
You're welcome.
Okay. And so I'm just checking my notes, making sure I've got everything. What is your favourite crystal and why?
You can't ask me that. That's asking like,
Everyone
what's
says
your
that.
favorite color? What's my favorite crystal and
What's been
why?
your draw lately? What have you been like reaching
I've
for?
I've been working very closely with citrine recently. I think that it's something to do with these summer months, with Leo season that's happening, with the sunshine out there. I love citrine. It's buzzy and it's abundant, and it's clean. I don't know how else to describe it, but there's a kind of um, cleanliness to it, and I love it even to inform my water. So I actually have
Ah,
crystals in my bottle, but I love to create elixirs with with citrine. They're a really nice one. Quartz is always my, like all the quartz family, amethyst, citrine, rose quartz, smoky quartz, clear quartz, tend to be my go-tos, because they just cover everything. And I'm just looking, I've got a crystal skull that's sitting like just over there, and he's looking at me going, don't look at me. So I've got to give a shout out to Geo, who is a lepidolite and snow quartz, gorgeous skull, who often sits here by my desk and helps me when I'm doing my work.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Thank you for your share. And also, do you want to share with the audience if you've got any courses happening, any offers that's coming out soon, and also how they can find you?
Okay, my website is melissa-amos.com, and you'll find all my offerings on there. And please find me on Facebook. I'm under Facebook as Melissa Sagir Amos. I'm always on Facebook, giving value and tips and suggestions and all of that. So I love
your posts, by the way. You take lovely photos and you're always out in nature, and it's so lovely. So yes, go and find her on Facebook. You're going to love her posts.
Yeah, and I often come live in there and do some, just some card readings or free stuff. That's on my personal page. I am actually looking at running a free workshop on your intuition and psychic abilities. I am actually working it all out now. It's likely to be beginning of September, but if you follow my Facebook page, then you'll find out about it. Or if you'd like, I'd love to offer a free gift to everybody who's listening.
Oh, wow, okay.
This is a meditation to do two things. One, to help you understand your inner voice, your clair, how you receive your intuition. And then it gives you a little cleanse, if you like, or activation of your third eye. So it just helps to awaken that. And you're going to be impressed at how inventive I am. But this is the website, melissa-amos.com/free-gift.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll put the links underneath anyway, so that people can just click on it. So yes,
sure. Yeah, and so download that, and then you'll be on my mailing list as well, and I'll be sure to send that out. But yeah, just get in touch with me. If you're finding me on Facebook, just let me know that you found me through Adele, because I do get a ton of friend requests, and I'd just love to keep in touch with you if this interview's inspired you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing your magic with us. It's just been amazing. And yeah, keep in touch and take care. And bye all. I hope you've enjoyed today's session, and we will catch up with you all soon.
Bye.